Good evening and welcome to the Nevis Newscast for today, Friday, January 22nd, 2016. I'm Bronte Swanston Hendrickson. Now for the news in detail. Schools on Nevis are now better equipped to promote agriculture at the institutions thanks to the donations of tools made to the schools through the St. Kitts and Nevis Agriculture Youth Forum. Those donations were handed over to the schools yesterday, Thursday, January 21st, at the Prospect Agricultural Station. Reginald Johnson is the forum's president.
We at the St. Kitts Nevis Agricultural Youth Forum continue to assist high schools with the new focus on the development of agriculture in primary schools throughout the Federation. By donating these tools to help the development in agriculture in the schools, we said thanks to AICA, we were able to secure a grant of $10,000 from Christopher Harbour. As I wish for you to give me a helping hand with a round of applause, saying thanks to AICA, because without them, this presentation wouldn't be possible.
The project is a joint undertaking with the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, AICA, the Caribbean Agriculture Research and Development Institute, and Christopher Harbour. AICA representative for the Eastern Caribbean states, John King, described the donations as another great achievement for the Youth Forum and the fulfillment of a commitment made 2 years ago.
On behalf of ICA, I would like to commend the Jeff project and the Christopher Harbour partnering with the Youth Forum and our local ICA office in promoting agriculture development in the schools. Jeff have provided about $106,000 to provide shade house in 6 high schools in St. Kitts, and Christopher Harbour has been provided $18,000 to provide agriculture tools in primary schools in St. Kitts and Nevis. Let me state clearly that we at ICA are convinced that this greenhouse project and the tools which have been provided to various schools would go a long way towards contributing to the development of agriculture in St. Kitts and Nevis.
The Honorable Alexis Jeffers, who thanked AICA on behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture, also impressed upon the students to put the tools to good use and to take good care of them.
I'm happy that AICA is partnering with a youth organization to bring back some of those fundamental values and the things that we would have built this island on in the past. And I do believe that tremendous things are going to come out of such an organization, and many more that I hope would come on board as we go along, because we are looking towards you, and I'm sure that Christopher Harbour expect you to come back and sell them some products in the future as well too. That is why they have partnered with you and have given you some contributions towards what you're trying to accomplish in agriculture. I want to say as well that the Department and Ministry of Agriculture here on the island of Nevis is very big on training. And in every step of the way, you can lean on the Department of Agriculture for resources in terms of training or perhaps any type of equipment that might be needed at any point in time to ensure that you get the job done. Do not afraid to approach the Permanent Secretary or myself, or even the Director of Agriculture for assistance, because that is what we're here for. We cannot have a sustainable agricultural industry here on the island of Nevis if we are not willing to pass on or willing to partner with young, not so young, and also the old among us, because all of us as a cohesive unit is going to make sure that agriculture survive here on the island of Nevis.
Speaking in the capacity of Minister of Education, Premier the Honorable Vance Amory reminded that agriculture is an important underpinning of the country's survival.
Children, parents, technical support staff, we have a job to do. I said my job really this morning is just to encourage us to engage in the use of the resource we have, so that we can be self-sufficient, or we can work towards self-sufficiency, but we can also work at the same time towards having healthy foods here in Nevis. And we can also work towards having our children become professional farmers, making business out of the soil, using the technology as well.
The donation of tools should also help to enhance the hot meals programs in the schools, Minister Jeffers says. The matter of illegal dumping continues to be a major problem on the island. For some time, the workers at the Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation, NHLDC, working in the area of the quarry have witnessed the steady accumulation of white goods, in particular along the roadside to the facility. The Honorable Alexis Jeffers, Minister and Chairman for the NHLDC, today, along with an employee, sought to do something about the environment in the area.
I am first and foremost a Nevisian who love this country or this island. I am also a minister within the Nevis Island administration, and I am someone who is an advocate for cleanliness. So, over the last couple of weeks, we have realized some illegal dumping has been taking place in this area. I normally traverse this area frequently, and when it caught my eyesight, I said I had to do something to expose this illegal practice. And we continue to send out the appeal to Nevisians to desist from doing such illegal dumping here on the island of Nevis.
The minister made an appeal for persons to desist from this kind of activity as it only hurts the environment.
Imagine they come here, visitors that is, and the first thing that they see upon entering this particular area are some washing machines, stoves, old television, that type of thing. It is not the type of environment we want to create for visitors. One, there is some expense that has to be incurred to remove these items from these areas, and indeed resources that could be used elsewhere are being tied up here to get this done. In that, the truck behind me belongs to the corporation, the Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation, that is. So they would have had to loan us this truck to get these items removed from here. It means that they are not available to do what they should have been doing at this time. Secondly, from the health standpoint of it, it's not a healthy environment to have on the island of Nevis. And third, it is putting us in a situation where we have had to go out and do things that we should not be doing in terms of picking up items that persons should have very well carried to the approved dumping site here on the island that is over the Nevis Solid Waste Management confines or properties.
The material collected necessitated more than one trip to the Nevis Solid Waste landfill for final dumping. Over the past 2 days, representatives of media houses in St. Kitts and Nevis have been meeting to explore collaborative working between themselves and the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force. The meetings, held both on St. Kitts and Nevis, are an effort to address challenges and barriers to effective working, explore opportunities for enhanced information sharing, and share recommendations for the next step. The meetings, which culminated in Nevis today, were facilitated by the police force and Bramshill Policing Advisors Limited.
The purpose of today's meeting was to bring together the media houses from Nevis, as well as the police, Mr. Brandy and ourselves from Bramshill Policing Advisors, in order to facilitate discussion, open discussion, about the needs of the public press and the needs of the police press and the lawful requirements of the police and what kind of information they can give out to the media. We intend to draft an internal and external media, an internal and external communication strategy, as well as a media strategy, and wanted the comments from the media houses on both St. Kitts and Nevis to be reflected within that policy document, so that the police and the media houses work together going forward in a joined-up partnership way to provide public information in a timely manner, but also in a judicious manner that doesn't negatively impact on any policing inquiry or case that's ongoing.
Steve Franz Sargent is the owner and director of Bramshill Policing Advisors Limited, while Lena Samuels works as an associate of the company.
I've been really grateful for everyone who has attended the meeting today from all the media houses, both government as well as the free press, if you like. The questions have been absolutely brilliant. They've focused very much on looking at challenges, in terms of information sharing and helping us to understand how we can try and get information out in a timely fashion without undermining the judicial process. I've been really struck by the enthusiasm of everybody in terms of saying they are tremendously supportive of policing, and I think it's a great message for our police service to know and understand that actually the media play a tremendously important role in being our allies in our fight against crime in our communities. So I think, it's been a great meeting, and I'm very grateful that everybody could come along and contribute in the way that they did.
Bramshill's Policing Advisors is working with the federal government by providing training for the police in better investigative skills and formulating a framework for the police service in an effort to reduce crime and keep the residents and visitors of St. Kitts and Nevis safe. Still to come.
High risk, basically just being born black is a risk factor.
We'll have the details after this break. Welcome back. Men in Nevis and the St. Kitts who are 40 years and older are reminded to go to the occasions tomorrow Saturday for the annual prostate screening exercise put on by Dr. Dwayne Thwaites and the team from Urology Associates. During an interview ahead of tomorrow's screening, Dr. Thwaites explained to health educator Chevany Nisbet that black men are at a high risk for the condition.
High risk, basically just being born black is a risk factor, and it's 4 times higher in the black population than in the Caucasian population. Age, we see most of the prostate cancer between the age of 55 to 65. That's the peak ages that we see it. And the other thing which is so important is family history. Genetics is such an important factor in determining putting you at risk for prostate cancer. So people who have uncles, fathers at early age who have picked up, who have had prostate cancer, those are the ones that we encourage the most to come in and get those. So those are 3 risk factors. You have other things like smoking, diet, and all that stuff that goes into play, but those are the 3 major risk factors.
As Nevisians and Caribbean persons fall in the high-risk category, Dr. Thwaites encourages annual screenings.
Usually in the Caucasian population, some people would advocate that you start at 50, 55 and do it every 2 years. But for high-risk people, which is the population of St. Kitts and Nevis, they're encouraged to do this on a yearly basis.
Doctors Daniel Caruso and Brian Cohen, who both volunteered their services, have been coming for 4 and 8 years respectively, and while they feel their services are appreciated, they too enjoy being on the island.
People are always very pleasant, very friendly. The island's obviously, it's a beautiful place. The natural beauty here is really astounding. Food's always good. Killer bees are good. So what's that, 5? I gave you 5.
Lovely place to be. People are wonderful, and we always have a good time here, and feel like the work that we do is very well appreciated.
The annual prostate screening will be tomorrow, Saturday, January 23rd, at occasions on the Pennis Bypass. Registration starts at 6 a.m. Prime Minister the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris says his government will clamp down on illegal workers on work sites in St. Kitts and Nevis. He says the cabinet is presently reviewing recommendations to impose penalties for late payment of work permit fees, revoking of work permits not in compliance with local laws, and limiting the number of work permits for entities.
The government must be firm against illegal workers occupying our work sites. We make it abundantly clear that the workplace in St. Kitts and Nevis must reflect predominantly citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis and legal migrants into our country. Citizens and legal migrants. That is where the preference should be. If you're here legally, you have all the rights, of course, and duties, etc. attached. So we make it clear.
Prime Minister Harris says the government will continue to monitor construction sites and the hospitality sector, in particular for persons with the necessary documentation giving permission to work in the Federation.
Our people must never be disadvantaged in the land of their birth. That being said, we accept that we are short in certain skill sets, and that several entities, for example Marriott, for example any other, the accounting firms, they are global in nature. with policies for cross-training and attachment. We understand that, and we understand what that means in terms of the composition of their staff to reflect that global reality. We are not insensitive to these realities, and of course our labor policy accommodates these situations. What we do is that we ask the employers in St. Kitts and Nevis not to be insensitive to the government's policies and at all costs to operate within the four corners of the law.
Statistics from the Ministry of National Security indicate that 509 work permits were issued in 2015 and 773 were issued in 2014.
The Permanent Secretary has made several recommendations which are to be decided upon by the Cabinet to clamp down on persons working without work permits. For instance, there is a recommendation that there be a penalty for late payments of work permit fees. And this is already in place in Nevis, limiting the number of work permits for entities.
Prime Minister Harris, who was speaking at his first monthly press conference for 2016 on January 19th, said the workplace in St. Kitts and Nevis must reflect predominantly citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis and legal migrants into the country. And that concludes tonight's edition of the Nevis Newscast. I'm Bronte Swanston Hendrickson. Thank you for viewing. Good night.